instructors have this tendency to give too much information before there's time for students to be able to process and improve something. So like if you give feedback on an exercise and then they play it one more rep and it's not better, maybe what you just needed to do instead was play 5 more reps or 10 more reps to see if it improves. So that way students have time to make little micro adjustments with their timing or their technique or their grip, etc. And then they can get better over time, as opposed to like, hey, that wasn't good enough, do it again, and like go into a long, lengthy explanation and then like play another rep. Hey, it wasn't good. You need to like really like just chill, just wait. Sit back, rehearse it like you would when you're practicing. If you treat your rehearsals where it's like a group practice session where you can improve as a group, as opposed to like this, like I tell you, you understand the knowledge and then you're instantly better. Like that's not how it works. Like you got to have that time to experiment with your technique and try and improve with it. Sometimes students just don't practice. So like the level of preparation that you might come to a rehearsal might be very different than some of the students that you work with. So while you might be prepared, they might have had like a family member die in the last week, and then like guess what, they didn't rehearse. So you got to take that into account. You can't just be like, how dare you not think this is the most important thing in the world. You do what you can with like what you're given with the students that you work with. Before I get to the next tip, I just want to say really quickly that you can find literally thousands of hours of free drumming play-alongs and drumming tips in the link at the top of the description or by going into my home tab of YouTube. Sometimes when you're teaching students, they will not understand a concept, and you as the instructor are trying to figure out why. Ask the student to teach you whatever it is that they're struggling with. So for example, if they are having issues with like fulcrum with traditional grip, here's my traditional grip, here's how I'm playing, what can I do to improve this? And then the student will be like, okay, well, you got to make, instead of like a capital T, make it like a lowercase t, and like you need to put it on the cuticle. But then they might not mention anything about the middle finger, and they might not mention anything about the pinky finger, what happens there. So then you can be like, okay, well, I'm playing like this, so I got the cuticle, I got the lowercase t, that's great, but what about these other things? And then that will help them to understand, oh, I need to think more about this, or oh, I didn't actually realize there was a gap in my understanding. So if you ask them to teach you, it can help you understand what it is that they need to work on. It could be like, well, my wrist is bent like this, or my palm is facing up like this, and just over exaggerate some of the extremes with things that are misunderstood and ask them to teach it back to you. And then you can learn, oh, I need to talk more about this, or oh, I need to think about a different way to approach how it is I hold the stick, or how it is they play a rudiment, or whatever it is that they're working on. If you're an instructor who's heard a lot of judges' tapes over the years, what do you do when you get to a point where what the judges say don't teach you anything that you don't already know? As an educator, one of the things that I really liked about teaching is the fact that like every student that I worked with had a different way of understanding the world or a concept that I was teaching. So what I really recommend doing is try and think of like a theme and variation. So the theme being a concept and going, what are like 5 different ways that I can teach the exact same concept, rather than like fine-tuning one way of explaining something. Try and look at it from multiple different angles, because for different students, it might click or resonate more than others. So some students might really like this metaphor, and some students might really like this analogy, and other students might really like when you explain the mechanics of the exact same concept that you are teaching. So if you listen to that in judges' tapes, that is a way that you can like learn from them without going, well, I already know exactly what they're going to say. Yeah, but how are they saying it? Why are they explaining it that way? And is that different than how you might teach it? When would that work better or worse in different contexts? What kind of social media drummer do you like or want to be? So do you focus on educational content by teaching a concept? Do you create inspirational content by showing what's possible on the drums? Do you like to create meme content to like get a laugh out of other drummers? Reaction content, or is it something else? For myself, I focus on the teaching side of things because I have an unfair advantage with that. I've been playing the drums since 1998, but I've been teaching the drums since 2003. And I've taught every single grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, because I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education. Because that is my unfair advantage, and because like I inherently enjoy making this kind of content, like I enjoy teaching, I like to create that kind of a content. Maybe you have better hands than I do, and that's your unfair advantage where you can play faster. So use that to your advantage and share that kind of content. You don't have to necessarily just pick one. Like I've experimented with creating inspirational stuff. Where I was like playing something really fast, like one of these play-alongs. I've created some meme stuff as well. Find what works for you and the kind of content that you want to create related to some unfair advantages that you have, or just the things that you enjoy creating. Are you going to follow the algorithm, or are you going to follow the audience? And how much of that is going to kind of influence the kind of content you can can create. So there's a continuum, and you can strive for balance between them, where you'd be like, okay, I'm going to make one for the audience and one for the algorithm and maybe like one for myself. I personally prefer to create the content that I think should exist, and I'm not necessarily worried about how the algorithm is picking up stuff, because I've had several years before starting this drumming stuff creating educational computer science education content, and I've seen how that would pick up over time if you just answer a question directly, like how do you do this thing, and then it will eventually make it into the search algorithm. Because I'm teaching educational stuff, for me that makes more sense. But if you want the viral stuff, then focus on creating meme content or reaction content or inspirational content, etc. Another thing that you can do is you can do like 2 for you and 1 for me, like 2 videos that are specifically for helping out or inspiring or making your audience laugh. Cool, you can do that, and then have 1 video that is like something that you really enjoy doing. So that way you're not just constantly creating stuff for other people that you don't necessarily enjoy, and you'll just kind of slowly lose that motivation and slowly get burned out creating drumming content or educational content or whatever. But another thing that I recommend doing is if you're running out of ideas for like things to create or to do, look for inspiration from other drummers, but also other musicians or other artists, and then beyond. Some of the content that I have created education wise is inspired by like business advice people that I listen to or marketing people that I listen to. Others is from like, oh, I saw this violinist do this really cool thing or talk about this thing in a unique way, and I was like, I could talk about that in relation to drumming, etc. So like there are many ways that you can get inspiration from different people, and there are many different types of content you can create if you are interested in creating social media type of content for other drummers. Go to here /CV, and then you can compare qualifications. It's going to take you a while to read through, all the stuff I've done, but yeah, I'll definitely make sure to take your opinion into consideration with the kind of content that I create. Yeah. That's why, I've got all my publications available for free. Like, my award-winning dissertation that won the highest award possible in the entire field, in the entire world. But what do I know? Instead of wasting your time trying to talk down to somebody who's got more qualifications than you ever have or will, you could instead spend your time actually doing something of value. I've made thousands of free resources for people. This actually provides value for people. You come into my chat and you try and harass me. You're wasting your time. The problem that I have with those kind of comments is not because like somehow brings me down, because it's not an actual reflection of how I am as a educator, performer, or whatever. The thing that annoys me the most is I know they're doing that to other people who don't have the CV that I've got. It discourages other people from pursuing their passions and like just trying to benefit the world. And that is what is upsetting to me. Normally what I do is I just block the person immediately. If this kind of person comes into your chat or into your comment section, know that it's not a reflection of you. When I brought up the CV earlier, I glossed over it, but I'm objectively one of the highest qualified people in the world on the content areas that I create around music education, drumming, etc. And there are still people who come into my content and say, I don't know how to drum or I don't know how to teach. And it's like, what kind of qualifications do you need from somebody? I can't get another PhD in music education. I've already got one. I don't need another one. So if you are not where I'm at in terms of level, just know that if you're getting that kind of hate, I get it as well.